Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mursal. I am the presenter of the Sudanese Intellectual Program. And today we are in Sudan TV to transfer the subjects from the center to the stage. We are really happy, and for that I would like to give my gratitude and thanks to the Sudan National Radio and Television Director and the team that they are welcoming us. And for the audience, the teachers, professors, for the doctors that they are involving at the audience, we're really happy, and this is very amazing program. That's why we're here. And please support us with your questions and opinions and comments that we really need to speak about it. Today, this subject is it's really big and it's not easy. There are so many people, they say that talking about such a subject, it's kind of cumbersome and it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of time to understand it as the subject. So for that, subject is titled as Can Physics Explain the Existence of the Humans and the Universe? This is very making sense if you look at the title. It's highlighting how can physics explain or doesn't explain the existence of the universe. When we say universe, this is one of the biggest and complex area. So for that, you can focus more on the audience and let's say preserving our ideas and the way we're addressing the subject. And for that, I would like to give my gratitude again for our guest to be as the main guest for the program, as well as the audience. Her name is Miss Rowan. She's a physicist, and she's an English teacher at the center, EMC. And we are very happy to have the program with her, because we cannot discuss such a subject if we don't talk with someone who has studied it, someone who had researched about it, someone who is come across by it. So that's why she is literally a physicist, and you have a chance at the audience to ask her your comments and questions. For now, I can give a stage for her to represent herself and say a little bit about the subject.
Thank you, Mr. Omerian, for the beautiful introduction. Okay. My name is Rowan Mohammed. I study physics at University of Sudan, University of Science and Technology. And I am a graduate 2 years ago. And also I'm a former English teacher at the ECC and the EMC, and I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. So generally speaking, as you know, that subject says, how can physics explain the existence of the universe and the humans? I think this kind of question you come by many times. For that, I may ask you, what is it, the subject called physics? How can you define the physics?
Well, physics is just a part of science, like a branch of science. There are many parts. There's chemistry, physics, biology, etc. But physics specifically, it concerns with the studying of nature. It puts the human as a center, and it wonders about everything around the person or the human.
All right.
So it is the study of nature.
The study of the nature as well as the humans.
Yes, nature around the human. So the human is included.
So how can you look at the subject that says physics can explain the human existence? Do you think physics can explain human existence more even than the universe?
Well, human is part of universe. If you took it as in this context, yes, physics can explain the existence of human if we consider the human is part of universe. But we are, in physics, we are putting the human as a center, and then we're questioning everything around him. So the physics does not explain why human is existed. Why is he there? How is he there? It doesn't answer such questions, but it can answer questions about the universe around us.
Why you think if you put the humans at the center of the physics, why you don't say that human as entities that with the mind, then they can have the honor of explaining their existence through the physics?
Well, they can do that if they create themselves, but human is just a result of something. So he cannot explain their existence.
All right, let's go to the, say, universe. How physics see the universe, generally speaking? We talk about the cosmological stuff, like we talk about galaxies, stars, we talk about all these giant creatures. So how could you look at their existence? How can you?
There are so many theories that talking about the creationism of universe, but the most acceptable one in science, it's the Big Bang theory. It's the only theory that can be taken with.
Literally, we talk about theories that is talk about creationism, which is the Big Bang theory, and then we talk about Big Bang theory. Literally, is a very highest subject, and we can talk about how galaxies they subtle. When you say the galaxies, for example, how moon could just happen to be there, for example. So how can you look at this amazing, beautiful, natural creations of this you could call creation of the God or whatsoever you want to name it as the physicist. Maybe there is another life, for example, a human can sensate themselves. So tell us more about other cosmos, their life, their existence.
Yeah, so our ancestors, they didn't have the technology that we have today. So they believe that all they can look at is just the sky and the nature around them. They don't have any technology to look further beyond Earth. So they believe that Earth is the center of the universe. This is something that they believed at that time. But within time when Galileo and other astronomers and philosophers, they start to question this. It didn't seem very reasonable to be the only creatures in this entire universe. So they were curious about what is going out there. So they started to make theories, and they started to make guessings about what is going out there. And then going on in time, people started to, with the scientific revolution in the 17th century, everything got clear. We were able to, send spaceships to the space to discover more, and we realized that we are not the only one. We probably won't be the only one because the universe is so big for that.
So, do you think science, physics, chemistry, all these three subjects that we call at the center of the science, do you think you can easily tell us the clarifications about the origins, for example, of the universe, how universe originated, or how they came to that process of existing?
Well, as I said, the Big Bang theory was the only logical theory or the only logical explanation. Observing the universe around us, they got to this result that universe started at one dense point, and then this point got exploded, and then it started like inflation. It started expanding, and then step by step. First of all, there was the radiation era, and then there was the matter era. In the radiation era, there was no matter at all. There was no planets or galaxies or anything, just energy. After that, there was the matter era. This is when stars started to form, and then after stars, there was the planet, and then galaxies. They all gathered together to make galaxies, and then more galaxies, and so on.
So, do you tell us, or can you tell us more about the time that they exist? For example, chronologically speaking, Big Bang theory cannot tell us before itself, because in science we believe that everything has a cause. Everything supposedly have reason to exist and reason to emerge for existence. So do you think Big Bang theory can tell us more about how itself could be merged there? And that's the biggest claim people are saying.
Well, that's a beautiful question, since physics cannot yet get to this point. Like they got to the point that Big Bang Theory started as a dense point, but why this dense point is there? This is like a shady area. No one knows.
How do you satisfy yourself when you call you are logical being, you are rational being, you are erudite, well educated? You cannot, let's say, take views that cannot provide practical evidence, for examples. For me, I cannot see a practical evidence for the Big Bang Theory that can explain its beginning. So since that you're ignorant, then you remain ignorant, even the time to come.
No, we're only ignorant about the before the Big Bang Theory. We don't know why did it start like that. Only a creator or a higher power would know this.
So do you believe that there are billions of universe and stars in this world?
Well, observing the universe around us, I believe that we are not the only universe even. There must be other, because when the Big Bang started as a point, it expanded and then it would finish again as a point. And then this point would do the same thing. It would explode and then gather again and make a point and so on. It would make multi-universes. Maybe there are universes before, maybe they are coming.
When you can show me one by the naked eyes, let's say, whenever you want to tool that you want to use it in today, we live in a cosmological or let's say technological era that we can easily see what thing that cannot be seen by the naked eyes, as you science are trying to name it as in that area. But how can you believe on something that you cannot even see? What evidence do you have for it?
Well,
ignorance.
You are made of particles. We don't see the particles, but we know they are there. We don't have to see everything by the naked eye to know that it's there. There are so many theories that are proven mathematically. We can prove that mathematically, but we cannot. There are some stuff that we cannot observe, like the electron. They're too just small to be observed by the naked eye.
So do you believe
but studying their effects, we can know that they're there.
All right, do you believe in evolutionary theory that it tells us that human, they are originated from this and this?
This is more of biology, but personally I don't believe in the revolution by, you mean Darwin theory? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, because they say that, or he says that we come from apes, right? Just because, what the evidence? Just because we have the same DNA?
The same question I was asking, that what evidence do you have for billions, millions? This term is very big. Billions of the universe are there. Mass cannot lie, but physically you're lying.
We can see the effects everywhere around us.
Sensible?
Yes.
All right. Why you don't see that the chronological linking process? For example, Darwin was saying that natural selection, okay, there's supposed to be one DNA connection to all existed entities, whether human, plant, animals. They should have one source as the genetic connections. Because if you look at the science is trying to give a conclusion that every creature has the same DNA sequences. You know that? For example, when you check a planet DNA, you will find representing the same 4 letters sequentially there. When you check it to the human DNA, you find representing the same sequences on there. So for that reason, why you don't think the natural selection, it's the one we are there because of it? For example, we exist because we are naturally connected to the one tree that represent all creatures.
Well, yes, we are living beings. You said plants, we have the same DNA. That's because we share the same basics of life. For example, the trees, they need to burn sugar to survive, right? So their DNA must have this instruction of burning sugar. We have the same basic thing that we need to burn sugar in our body, so our DNA must have the same instruction. But that doesn't humanize the trees, and it doesn't make us trees. And it definitely doesn't mean that we come from the same origin just because we share some instructions in the DNA.
DNA is the focal and the core center of the definition of everything to give the quality and the characteristic on it. DNA defines who you are, yes. DNA is a chronological process of linking things. Why you deny the role of the DNA here?
I'm not denying, I'm just saying that we can share the instructions in the DNA with other living beings, because we are all sharing the basics of life, breathing, living, eating, drinking. It's all like a process of...
So you define life as an entity that can breathe, for example, as a planet, as let's say humans, the whatsoever creature that breathes and moves and change itself to whatever you want to call it as a change.
Well, yes, except that humans are more unique than other living beings.
In what aspect you think?
Mind.
Mind.
Of course.
There are
the free will.
Aquatic marine animals. They live in the sea. They much making thinking process more than humans. Science is trying.
Can they go and get a coffee? Do they have free will?
Do you have free will?
I believe I do.
How do you explain your free will?
I can go right now and get some coffee.
And when you select the coffee, is it mean that you the one who call your choice? Like you think like you the one who choose it, or there is a creation that's trying to give you the idea of liking things? Because you genetically you created in that aspect. For example, you eat the breakfast in that restaurant, not just because you choose it. Genetically, you are there. You have cause. For example, you feel hungry. Okay, you look at the food, you know, encourage you to choose. So the selectivity does not define the free will, I think.
So you say that because we did not create ourselves, we don't have the free will.
You could possibly say like that, but since you cannot do multiple of things, the free will, the free choice, then that's the time to explain and give excuse that mean you are not that super being as you claiming.
Yeah, I'm not super being, but I'm more unique. Maybe there are more intelligent creatures than us, just not living with us. But right now we are the most unique one.
You are more unique as a human, or as just person? Like we talk about individual levels.
Human.
You can speak on behalf of the audience, on behalf of whoever is sitting there, whoever is a doctor or teacher or a student. You think that they can have the same process of thinking and the same process of liking and hating something. We know that yes, you don't hate something without no reason. You don't love it without any reason, but there are reasons to do things and to hate things. But you are saying should be a common free will, that we should follow that, the common thing. We are making everything by ourselves. You are saying like that.
Yeah, that's what I say.
All right, how can you define life, physically speaking? Life of, for example, how we come to exist. Do you think human they existed due to the reproductions, or you think, no, DNA is coding us that we die, we born in another shape, we will come again, maybe we come as the planet, maybe we will come as the humans, as a child, rebirth. So how can you look at this very natural selective process that in life is existing? So how can you look at this complexity of death and life, rebirth?
Well, you're talking about creationism here.
Yeah.
There are so many theories about this.
Yeah.
What you mentioned about being reborn in another body, this is more of like the Buddhism, I guess. They believe that. And they believe that the universe is going to create again, it's going to create itself again. Also, there is the Christian, there is the Hinduism, but since I'm Muslim, depending on the Islam story, which tells us that humans started with Adam and Eve, two people, and then they reproduced.
All right, thank you very much. We can give a gap and then we can come back. Okay, once again, thank you very much for audience that you're following us, listening. And I will take it to some point, but we go back to the audience. We may emphasize more about the genetical explanation about how human existed. We can listen to Dr. Aya's opinion, but we have so many other students who studied biology at the universities. They may give us more details about how genetically or biologically we exist there. So I may ask you once again, you were saying that we have a free will as the humans. And do you think animals, they have free will?
To some extent, yeah. It's limited with the ability of their brain and how does it work.
Do you think animals, they have mind and brain?
Of course they do. They have some amount of smartness. That's why they can eat, they can drink, they don't die of hunger.
So how you think that when animals, they share with you the same concept of saying, I have a brain, they have a brain, you have a mind, they have a mind, how you think that you are the winner here in the group?
Well, it's about the ability, the amount of ability that your brain can do.
And you think today you are able to win, then tomorrow you think even you can guarantee to win, like to say that, okay, I have my mind fully is function, then animal, their mind is not yet to be fully functioned. Do you think they cannot function their mind?
Yes, the way that their mind is created, I don't think so.
Have you ever seen what kind of animals, or whatever is animal you want to call it, do you think they don't choose to eat, or just nature telling them to eat?
If you define nature, how do you define it in this context?
Evolutionary speaking. Nature bears you, nature gives you a chance to live, because you say in evolutions, nature is playing a big role to all aspects of life. Nature, you were saying, give us the free will. Nature is constraining the fate itself and giving the level of the free will in higher than the fate, for example.
Wherever your explanation or your definition of nature, this nature is going according to rules. Where do these rules come from?
You may provide the answer.
No, I'm asking based on your premise that nature provides everything.
When you say in an evolutionary theory that, for example, nature exists, and nature is the one who emerging for the continuation of the life. Nature is the one perhaps give us so many indication of things. For example, when you look at this very amazing universe, you meditate, you contemplate more. So if nature didn't reflect it, or doesn't reflect there as the way you look, then you are not even interested to point it, for example. You're not interested even to choose the thing that you say you like to choose them, or how can you look at that? Because for me, I think there is a fate, but physics cannot explain it. Fate where I think a lot I can do. For example, believe that a human, believe that you say you have mind, believe that you think that you have super mind, you think you can select things freely without any hinders or limitations. Generally, we can go to the audience, we can listen from the doctor perspective about how biology can explain the human existence, and then we may carry on more about other theories that in the physics. We go to relativity, we go to other aspects. So can we give mic to the Dr. Aya?
Well, let's take it from the beginning. When you talk about biology, then basically, as you said, you're talking about the DNA. And what is DNA? It's more of a blueprint of all of us, the living creatures. And what's DNA? It's a short for deoxyribonucleic acid. Hey, it sounds Roman or Greek to most of you, but to make it simple, DNA has like 3 billion, and you know what billion is? 3 billion letters. And these letters are actually, or basically, are just composed of four figures. They are just G, T, C, and A. Only 4. These 4 figures or letters, they compose over 3 billion codes for the whole genome. We call it the human genome, or we call it the DNA code. So when you come to this, I can tell you what does GTCA means, and maybe that will just sound very weird and doesn't mean anything to you. But just for those who are interested in biology, and that you know that G stands for guanine. It's a substance or amino acid. A stands for adenine. C stands for cytosine. So these are the components of the DNA. And what I want to say that I don't believe in the evolution theory or Darwin theory. I believe that this DNA is so complex, so it's creative. It creates more about billions and billions of codes that create us, our characteristics and traits. So that is actually an evidence of God, that there is a supreme power, as Ms. Rowan here said. So there is no such thing as coincidence in all this creativity. So it must be something from a supreme power, something more intelligent than this intelligence.
All right, thank you very much. I can go back to Rowan to tell us more about, do you think science will give or will create for humans a source of happiness? Because people regard science as the kind of a new religion or a new prophecy for the coming life, or let's say in coming time. So generally, do you think science is a new version of religion?
I would respectfully disagree with that, because science cannot explain everything, because the knowledge that we can have as human, as I said earlier, our brain is limited to specific. We cannot use all of our ability to know everything. So there's another thing to depend on, which is the faith. You have to have faith in something, and this something is religion, of course. So science cannot stand alone. There must be something to combine with to live life happy.
You have to, meaning you necessarily
if you want to be happy, you have to.
Happiness defined or found only in aspects of spiritualism.
It depends on how do you define happiness.
Because when you talk about prophecy of science, you were saying science cannot give us prophetic, for example, views about coming years or coming decades or centuries. But I'm saying science is telling us a lot about climate change, global warming. Science is telling us a lot about how the thing could be changed, or even how human will end their life. So scientifically or naturally we talk about life, then science is a new systematic belief concept that imposed to the human society.
Yes, I can see your point. I can see where you're coming from, but I'm saying that just because it's explaining a lot of the wanderings that we have, there are more, even greater wanderings that we don't know nothing about. So since science cannot explain everything for me, and it entirely depends on logic, I cannot have faith here. That means I cannot live peacefully. I cannot have science as my religion if I want to be happy.
The energy, God, for example. Physics define God as the energy that creates things, produces things, rebirths them, even take their life. Everything is limited to the level of the human, but everything is not limited to the level of energy when we talk about physics, literally there. But generally, you think that science can tell us more about the climate change and global warming, generally speaking, but it cannot tell us in the precisions of the things that will happen or change. Do you think science has a precision process?
Of course, they have a prediction because this is a result. This is a clear view of what's going to happen if humans don't stop their bad habits to the planet. Climate change is one of the most dangerous problems that we're facing today. And human seems like they don't care about. They're just living.
Politically, yes.
Of course, yes.
Socially,
there are protests about it.
Lively, enjoying life. Do you think we don't go with a political view about climate change is not real? And how do you say climate change even real? For example, if 4 seasons are not the same, because when you said a change is supposed to be changing from, for example, from the black to the white, for example. I take the change as black and white, because I look there that there are 4 seasons, and these 4 seasons, they are not the same. Winter is quite different than the summer. So how can you say this is a very making sense claim? I really see like that. How change happens, literally, sequentially, meanwhile there is no sequences.
The change is very visible. You can look around. You can see how hot it can be
visible
right now.
To the level of the nature.
To the nature, you can literally observe it. You can see how the seas have risen, how there are so many floods than before. The temperatures are getting higher and higher, especially in the urban areas.
Okay, generally speaking, let's go back to the cosmos, precisely stars and galaxies. How do you think a star, let's say, receive the energy of the light from Earth, or from the sun? And how can you tell us a practical evidence that Earth is not the center of the universe?
Earth isn't the center of the universe.
Do you think that
and it's not even the center of the galaxy that we're in even? How? Because the center of the galaxy, we are some distance between the center of the galaxy and somewhere at the tail. Our galaxy is the Milky Way galaxy, and we are somewhere away from the center of the galaxy. We're not the center of everything.
Well, the black hole is the center.
Yes, there is a black hole at the center. They expected that.
So do you think black hole can be explained?
Black hole is just like a dying star or a dying giant star. It's like a vacuum. It has so much gravity that it can attract whatever is going around its orbit.
And scientifically, you call it just giant. Meanwhile, you don't size it. Meanwhile, you don't, let's say, you don't tell me the exact, the distance between our center to its center.
There is a distance. I just don't recall the number.
Give me evidence. You don't need to have a specific mathematically, but let's talk about rationally. How can you calculate it in the science calendar? How you look at this?
There are so many ways to detect. You can see, you can observe the effects of the planets around.
Maybe other giant, not even the big hole or black hole you want to call. So do you think we are connected as the human, and even the planet and the universe, cosmos, stars are connected to somewhere?
Well, they just observe the nature of the planet, the atmosphere, the amount of oxygen it might have, the basics that we need here. Can they be there? It's all the basics that we need to live on Mars.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rowan, for that. I'm really interested. That's very good. So now we can take questions from the audience and arguments, what the comments on whatever you have.
So since science is not science, physics is the explanation for the natural world, like it's the most reliable explanation that we have so far. And even though it's the most reliable explanation for the natural world, we still have a lot of superstitious beliefs. Like there's people who don't really rely on science. They think that their superstitions actually make sense. And so they kind of dismiss everything that science has proven, and they hold on to their traditional superstitious beliefs. So do you think there will ever come a time where science will kind of destroy every superstitious belief that we have today in the world and be the only reliable explanation for the natural world? Or do you think people will always have these complicated superstitious beliefs? There's people who believe that.
And physics should explain that for you?
Sorry?
And physics should explain that for you?
No, I mean,
that's
like,
all on you.
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like, even though physics explains the natural world, and a cat is a part of the natural world, right? People still hold on to these like superstitious beliefs. So if they see a black cat in the morning, they believe that their day will be messed up because they meet a black cat in the morning. And there is a reliable explanation for why they have a bad day, but they don't take that. And so my question is, do you think there will ever come a time where people will dismiss these superstitious beliefs, like meeting a black cat in the morning and believing that you'll have a bad day, and rely on science?
Well, I believe that someday that would happen, but like, I hope that we don't die before we see that day.
Hopefully.
My question is how, according to Newton, third law says that every action have an opposite action, and scientists confirm that there is a parallel world or parallel universe. How much science can confirm the foundation of the parallel world or universe? Even Einstein said that if you need to go to another world, you have to go through two connected black holes.
Yeah, it's talking about the multiverse theories or parallel universe. There, everything should have its opposition. That opposition should be in the same level. For example, there should be good. At the same time, you should see there is a bad. So do you believe in a parallel universe?
Well, he mentioned black holes. Einstein believed that black holes is another door for multi-universe. Maybe we are in a universe that is inside a black hole.
All right, good. All right, let's go to someone else.
Actually, I would like to talk about a theory that was mentioned and made by Plato, who divided the world into two. He said, in the first place, we have the world of an ideal, and the second, we have the world of sense. And he actually did say, in the world of an ideal, things are permanent, while in the world of sense, things are changeable. So the question is, how much physics disagree or agree with Plato's theory?
It's all about the special relativity theory by Einstein. Since Einstein thinks that time and space is the same thing, he believes that, and he says that time is not a fixed thing, it's change. And
Einstein saying time is fictional,
and it's relevant.
and Aristotle saying time is real. Do you really see there is an opposition here? Because Einstein saying time is fictional, it only exists within our mind, it's not existed in the physical world. And Aristotle was saying time is real because you exist. Once you cannot deny your existence, once you cannot say you are dead body, then there is a time of starting of your entity or yourself, and there is a time of you waking up every day. So this is supposed to be time is existed, not fictionally there, but should be real. That's why Einstein with Aristotle, not
Well,
Einstein.
Then you must be mistaken about what Einstein believed in. He does believe that time is there. It's actually, he's making it as a fourth dimension. What he's saying is time is relevant. It's not something like we can measure. He doesn't believe in the future or in the present. He says that time can slow down, you can slow it, you can stop it even if you get to the speed of light.
Simple is, Einstein's conclusion is time is independent, and Aristotle time is dependable, meaning there should be evidence for it because we are still alive, we see ourselves, we eat, we drink, we are changing from this to this, we're developing, every day we grow, then time
It's more of a concept than something that we can actually observe. It's a concept just like everything.
All right. Okay, can we go back to the audience?
And I understand that physics does not prove that. So what possibly can prove the existence of universe and human?
Well, a long story short, physics cannot explain the existence of human.
So let's let the human and take the universe. Yeah, universe and physics can explain the past, but nothingness, and the present as well. But what exactly the meaning of existence? Is it a state of being alive or real?
Yes, there's a lot of sayings about what existence. They cannot even define what existence is anymore.
Does
the world or the universe has laws that govern us in terms of physics?
all right. Do you think there is a natural laws that can move things?
Of course, the fundamental laws of nature, the four fundamental laws.
Okay.
Even Einstein, before he died, he tried to combine everything in one theory, the string theory, but he died before that.
Mathematics seek to understand the existence of the human and universe, and together also the mathematics seek to understand the mathematical structure. But I need to differentiate between the mathematics and the physics. What is the relationship between them?
Physics, yeah, they are twins. I'm not gonna make the mathematicians mad. We are twins. None of them is like higher. We're just using mathematics as a tool to prove our theories. Because whatever we have of theory, we cannot do anything without the math.
Just want to ask you a question. According to the definition of happiness, that means you want to live in peace, right? So, and at the same time, according to the teacher's question, he asked you about does science makes you feel happy, right? And you define happiness as peace, right? So how can you live in peace while the world is globing, right? The climate change and the global warming is happening out there, and you claim that you live in peace? How can you define that?
I'm trying to live in peace, but I am not.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, audience, and those who are listening for these programs. We are really happy and having this chance. And this is episode 7 from the Sudanese intellectual programs. And these programs, we are trying to sustain it weekly. And for those who want to participate, they can highly join us through this following the center, the website, and we can really give them chance to involve in the programs. And there are more than a reason to have such programs, because we believe that at the Sudanese or in Sudan society, it being somehow closed into many areas, educationally speaking, scientifically speaking, and socially. And this program is somehow trying to focus more about those who are educated in any aspects that we think that we need to reintroduce it to Sudan or to Sudanese people. For example, areas those like science, philosophy, areas like education, politics, economic, to the greatest good for Sudanese. To that point, everyone wants to join, whoever you are, writer or a teacher or lecturer at the university or at any center. You can easily join us through the EMC English Multicultural Center. It's located in the Shuhada So that's what you can follow from there to join, or you can send the email emcsdn@gmail.com. You can text your interesting areas, and then we can really arrange it there. And that's one of the very amazing things that we can say, that we can produce it for all Sudanese. For that, we can give high clap for our guests, and thank you for that. Yeah, and thank you for the team of Mahmoud Abdallah, because I think Mahmoud, he the one who he has seen the programs through the center, and he says that program is very amazing. We cannot hold it like that. So. And thank you, Rowan. That's very amazing to the audience and everyone who share here. Thank you.